Wizards, your daily Washington Wizards podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
What's good, Wizards fans? Welcome to the Locked On Wizards podcast. Make sure you guys follow us on YouTube now. Subscribe to us on YouTube now. We are on YouTube. Make sure you guys hit the notification bell. Follow us on Twitter at Locked On Wizards. You can follow me on Twitter at EDTOOOFLATT. And I'm excited. I'm hyped. I'm lit right now. Got my co-host Dialante, man. How you feeling today, man?
I'm feeling great. I'm happy to be here. Happy to be the new co-host. You know, Wizards looking good so far. First preseason game. I'm excited for the season to start. I'm excited to be Locked On Wizards. You know, let's do this thing.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Tell them where you can find you, man. D has gone viral on Twitter a lot for the Wizards. Does YouTube? He does YouTube too. So he's all over with Washington Wizards content.
Yeah, you know, Twitter at D Talks a lot, YouTube at D Talks a lot. Just everything. Social media. D Talks a lot. That's what I do. My name's D. I tell people to call me D, and I talk a lot. I talk a lot of Wizards. So.
Yes, sir. Yeah, there's never gonna be a dull moment. D, I remember you had that happy picture when we got a new coach. You know, saying that new days with the Wizards with a new coach. How happy you are. You guys got to see that picture on Twitter. It's hilarious. It's hilarious. But I do want to thank you guys for making Locked On Wizards your first listen every day. We are free and available on all platforms. So, of course, we had the preseason game last night, our first preseason game against the Rockets. I was very hyped to see some type of basketball. Yesterday, I talked about what I liked and what I didn't like, or the good, bad, and ugly. D, just let us know what you like, who stood out in your opinion, what did you like and what you didn't like seeing from that first preseason game.
One of the guys that I want to give, a shout out to, Aaron Holiday. I feel like he had a very good game. The offense flowed with him out there. I know when KCP comes back, I don't know how that backup point guard spot's going to go with Neto and Holiday. So they may be battling it out right now for minutes. But Aaron Holiday, he gets my first shout out. Montrezl Harrell, I liked a lot of what I seen from him. Just energy on the boards. I love my energy guys. I'm full of energy. Wizards got 3 energy bigs with Bryant, Gafford, and Montrezl Harrell. Daniel Gafford. Only thing I would say is I want to keep the fouls down with him, especially with him being a starter now. He has to keep the fouls down. He had 3 fouls in the second quarter, not second quarter alone, but in the second quarter, he reached his 3rd foul. And if you want to be a starter in the NBA, you got to be able to be available and be on the floor. So that's my only negative I would say towards Gafford, because I love DG. I love his play style as well. Spencer Dinwiddie, very impressed. I like what he did in the half court. He showed us he can finish. Coming from that ACL injury, I was impressed with him. That the Gafford Dinwiddie pick and roll game looked like it's going to be fun. It looked like it's going to be sweet. Looked like it's going to be a lot of highlights for us to look at with it. And yes, Bradley Beal did Bradley Beal things. Corey Kispert, the rookie, had some nice 3-pointers. Had some off the dribble scoring as well, showing us, that he's not just a spot up shooter. And Kyle Kuzma, with his debut, started off a little shaky in the first half, but settled in nicely. Is there anybody else that I can think of? I think that's everybody right off the top of my head. That's kind of like my go-through of everybody.
Yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head. I guess other than some of the guys who are battling for roster spots. But, yeah, like you said, Aaron Holiday was a beast. He was a beast coming off the bench. I think he had 17 points off of 19 minutes. I mean, he was a microwave out there, and he was scrappy. He just brought a different intensity to the team. Montrezl Harrell played his butt off. I don't know if you mentioned Kuzma. Did you mention Kuzma?
Yeah, I did.
You did mention Kuzma. Yeah, he had a rough start. But what I did like, I like Gafford. Like you said, I like Dinwiddie. Dinwiddie looked like he didn't miss a step at all. Went to the cup aggressively, went downhill, finished with contact. I love that. Then he had a nice little jab 3-pointer. I love that. Looked like a floor general out there. Bradley Beal, not much to say. I mean, he had a normal game. He had 18. It's like he had a quiet 18, honestly, and that's how elite of a scorer that he is. It was a quiet 18 points. Gafford is Gafford. Montrezl Harrell is going to bring that junkyard dog mentality. I guess things that I didn't like. Did you say who you didn't like?
I spoke about Daniel Gafford and his foul issues, but as a whole, I didn't speak about everything that I didn't like at the moment.
That you didn't like, yeah. Go ahead and say what you didn't like. We're probably going to agree on that too.
Honestly. I think the fouling, they need to lower the fouling. The Rockets had, I believe, 37 free throws, even though they only made 59% of them. You go up against a team like the Warriors or another good free throw shooting team, that's going to kill you. And those are free throw line is where games can be won and lost. So 37 free throws for the Rockets, that's not okay. You got to keep the fouls down as a unit. I believe it's the way I feel like they scheme up their pick and roll defense. The Rockets were missing a lot of 3-pointers, but they were open. Those were open threes that the Rockets were missing. And against a team that has better shooters or that's hot on the night, that's that 3-point defense, which Wizards have had issues with in the past, that may come back to bite them. So I kind of want to see better rotations, getting out to close out on guys at the 3-point line, etc. I felt like I seen a lot of open threes for the Rockets. But not too many negatives for me overall, but those were kind of some things that I've seen that I kind of want to see patched up for the Wizards in the next game.
Yeah, I think what I didn't like was I think, as Wizards fans, we do bring on the pitchforks for Davis Bertans. And I like and honestly, sometimes I defend. I'm not gonna say I defend Davies, but we know what he does, and if he does what he does well, which is just hit threes, then he is a valuable guy on the team. Now, when he's not hitting threes, then you look at the contract, then you look at the $16 million per year. Like, okay, yeah, we're definitely overpaying this guy. 0.6 fouls. I say every time in that playoff game, this just can't happen. Last night he was 1 for 6 from the three. Looking at the numbers. And he didn't do much else. I mean, he's not going to go out there and get a double-double or nothing like that. But, yeah, I just didn't like what I saw from him last night. He kind of does look like the odd man out where Corey Kispert looks like he's going to take some of Bertans' minutes if he does keep it up. And KCP didn't play and Rui didn't even play, two guys that are going to get at least 25 to 30 minutes a game. Denny didn't play last night. So it wasn't looking too hot for Davies. I saw him play with the third-string guys like Jordan Goodwin, Jaime Echenique, guys who are fighting for last spot. So that's like the only critique I really had. And like you said, the defensive rotations, there were some open threes. Kevin Porter Jr., he went crazy last night. Jalen Green is a good player, so he's going to get his buckets. But I thought there were some wide open threes. So we got to improve on that. Talking on defense, pick and roll defense, we can definitely improve. And Gafford with the fouling, he's got to stop fouling. We need him with Thomas Bryant not being there. We're going to need him to play big minutes. Even if Thomas Bryant, I want to see Gafford start and play big minutes. So those are the only critiques I really have. Other than that, I like what I saw. I thought overall it was a great game, or I'm not going to say great game, but it was a good game for our first game with guys who haven't played much. And then I forgot to say the segments that we want to talk about today. We do want to talk about the survey. They came out, the GM survey. The Wizards were on the survey a couple times. I thought they got some good recognition. I think we're talking about if Bradley Beal really got disrespect on this shooting guard list. But before we do get into that, this episode is brought to you by Sweatblock. It's still kind of warm in the DMV, so you definitely need that deodorant. And it's still wedding season. You don't want sweaty pits, stains in your armpits and whatnot. It works for up to 7 days per use. Dry shirt guarantee. If Sweatblock doesn't keep you dry, you get your money back. Featured and tested on the Rachel Ray Show by firefighters, bestseller on Amazon for the past 10 years, over 13,000 reviews, and manufactured in the USA. Wear what you want to wear, your little secret of confidence. This is a must-have for everyone's toiletry bag, whether it's a big presentation or a hot date. Everyone can benefit. Check out Sweatblock is on Amazon and CVS. The promo code is locked on for 20% off at sweatblock.com. Promo code is locked on for 20% off at sweatblock.com. So I'm going to pull up here the survey. It was pretty interesting with the shooting guard spot here. And Wes Unseld Jr. did get some recognition here. I'm going to pull it up. And then MVP, of course, it was the usual guys like Giannis and Kevin Durant. And we weren't even in the top. They did a survey for the Eastern Conference. They had number 1, Brooklyn, number 2, Milwaukee, Miami number 3, Philly number 4, Atlanta number 5, Boston number 6, and Indiana 7. Did you have any discrepancies with who they have at the top 7 in the Eastern Conference?
I mean, I think you said Indiana 7.
They had Indiana at 7, Boston at 6, Atlanta at 5, Philly at 4, Miami at 3. Of course, the Bucks and the Nets at 1 or 2.
I think Indiana at 7 could be kind of questionable. Everybody else I don't have issues with, and where they listed them. Indiana at 7 is kind of questionable to me, but with Russell Westbrook leaving, and that's a lot of national attention that he brings with him, leaving as well. I'm not surprised that the Wizards are one of the more overlooked teams now, and that a lot of those eyes that people seen last year won't be here or left for next year, to go to LA, and that are on LA now. So I expect the Wizards to be not on a lot of top 8 lists, in the Eastern Conference. I expect the Wizards to be, Wizards players specifically, to be kind of disrespected, because with Russ leaving, you lose a lot of visibility, you lose a lot of eyes and national presence. And so you can kind of go back to being what the Wizards kind of were. Well, not kind of were in the past, which was, a team that not many people outside of locally watched.
Right. Yeah. I definitely get that. We don't have the star power right now. We have guys that are good that came through from the trade, but they're not like all-star power guys. So I think that's why, because our over-under is 34.5 right now. I think that's pretty low. So I know you're a betting guy, so I know you probably want to put that bet in for the over, because I think at worst we would get 38 wins. I think 34.5 is a little low, but they put the Pacers being 7. That's questionable. They got the Knicks at 8. And then I guess we would fall in that playing range 9 or 10. But we do want to get to the shooting guard position. So the survey had who is the best shooting guard in the NBA? James Harden, number 1. I don't have a discrepancy with that. Devin Booker at number 2. I do have a discrepancy with that. Luka Doncic at 3. And then also receiving votes was Bradley Beal, Steph Curry, and Kevin Durant. So that was a little weird to me. How did you feel about that one?
Well, Devin Booker, the whole Devin Booker conversation, Devin Booker, Bradley Beal, even Zach LaVine, people have those guys in kind of that tier where they're like, oh, Zach LaVine's and Booker are better than Beal, or Beal's better than Booker and Zach LaVine, for example. But I'm not surprised Devin Booker jumped up that much, because he was just in the NBA Finals. And we know from Bradley Beal being snubbed in the past from like All-NBA or the All-Star game that winning matters. Devin Booker was looked at as a stat stuffer, etc., which some fans may say Bradley Beal is now, when the Suns were a losing team. But once they started winning, that whole mantra around him changed. So I'm not surprised to see Devin Booker at 2. Do I agree with it? No, I do believe Bradley Beal is, a more elite player, as a scorer, etc. Their games aren't that different to me, but I just think Bradley Beal is better at it, and that's not a shot at Booker or anything. Luka Doncic, I don't even know if I look at him as a is he? Do you have, because I don't really look at him as a 2. I mean, they had Kevin Durant with votes at shooting guard, so I don't know. I mean, I don't know I have no clue. But Bradley Beal, in my opinion, is if you want to have James Harden at point guard, there's an argument for Bradley Beal at number 1. But if you want to have James Harden as listed as a shooting guard, I can respect him being number 1. Bradley Beal, in my opinion, is 2.
Yeah, I'm with you. Devin Booker's going to get the recognition now because he did go to the NBA Finals. Got Chris Paul there. Now they're in the national spotlight, so he's getting the recognition that he deserves. But yeah, I still see Bradley Beal over Devin Booker, and it's not far off. It's not like Bradley Beal's heads above Devin Booker because they're both so similar. They both can score all three levels. They're not great defenders, but they can. Nobody's stopping these guys. They can go for 50 easily if they want to. Any given night, they can both do that. Luka's not a shooting guard in my opinion. I feel like he can be more of a point guard, to be honest with you, at times, or a three. Kevin Durant, they're just gonna throw him in there because he's Kevin Durant. Steph Curry's not a shooting guard.
Right.
GMs, some of their opinions can be a little off. Sometimes we see some of the trades that GMs make in transactions sometimes. So we had previous Wizards GMs as well, so they have questionable moves. So sometimes their opinion. But this one I like too. This one, they said which team made the best overall moves this offseason. They got the Miami Heat at number 1 with 47% of the votes. The Lakers at 17%. The Nets at 7% with number 3. The Rockets, we were tied with the Rockets for third. It was a 3-way tie at 3. Brooklyn Nets got 7% of the votes. The Rockets at 7% of the votes. And the Wizards got 7% of the votes. And then after that, the Bulls got votes. The Knicks, the Thunder, the Phoenix Suns, and Blazers. Did you have any opinion on that? I kind of like that list.
Yeah, I'm surprised actually that the Bulls were a little lower on that list. I thought, especially with the hype I seen on social media the other day with the Bulls against their game against the Cavaliers. I've seen all that, the Caruso pass to DeRozan, etc. I'm surprised that there's this low on that list. I agree with the Heat. I think the Heat did a tremendous job in the offseason. I think they're one of those top teams in the Eastern Conference. The Wizards are going to be one of those more underrated teams, because like I said, nobody's like nationally looking out for the Washington Wizards. So I think they're going to be more of that underrated off-season pickups, one of the more underrated seasons. And I'm glad they are getting, noticed for the moves that they made, because the job Tommy Shepard did, in my opinion, was magnificent. I think he did a great job. And of course, you got the Lakers. Anytime you get a guy the caliber of Russell Westbrook, I mean, along with the guys like Malik Monk, you get Rajon Rondo back, etc. I mean, I respect that for sure. It's a couple teams, that had good all seasons, but I'm glad to see the Wizards specifically on that list. I think Tommy deserves his praise for that, and rightfully so. They're on that list.
Yeah, I think so. I think we do deserve some recognition. Tommy did a great job, last year flipping the John Wall contract for Russell Westbrook contract, and then flipping Russ for 3 solid players, and then getting Aaron Holiday in a second-round pick, which turned into Isaiah Todd. Then getting Spencer Dinwiddie, who's going to be a good pickup. I think he's going to be a great player for the Wizards, especially looking at him last night. I think he's going to fit well with Bradley Beal. Brings a different dynamic. It's going to move the ball. There's going to be more ball movement. I do want to see more ball movement. I thought it was good ball movement last night, but that's something I do want to see against the Knicks when we played them on Saturday. But before we get into some more Wizards did show up on our list. Spencer Dinwiddie showed up on some of the votes for the GM survey, and Wes Unseld Jr. And I do want to get to some comments that Montrezl Harrell made about the Lakers that were pretty spicy in his press conference. But before we do get to that, this episode is brought to you by Built Bar. My favorite flavor is cookies and cream. You can put it in the microwave or put it in the freezer or put it in the fridge. It tastes better when you put it in the microwave, to be honest. But they got coconut, cherry, barcia, raspberry, mint brownie, double chocolate, strawberry, orange, and German chocolate. If you haven't tried all the flavors, you can get a mix box where you get 2 of each of the 9 flavors. Not only are Built Bar flavors the best tasting, but they're healthy too. Check out the macros: 17 to 18 grams of protein, calories ranging from 130 to 180, only 4 to 5 grams of sugar, and only 4 to 5 grams of net carbs. Amazing flavors, all tasty, all healthy. Order today and get the grasshopper cookie or raspberry or whatever you like. Go to Built.com and use promo code LOCK15. You'll get 15% off your order. Use promo code LOCK15 for 15% off at Built.com. This episode is also brought to you by BetOnline. Watching football, the line moved a little bit. We're 2-point underdogs. We were 1.5-point underdogs on Sunday, but we'll see what happens. I think the over/under is 44. It's supposed to rain on Sunday, so honestly, I'm going to take the under in that game. So y'all can comment on the video if you are football team fans. D is unfortunately an Eagles fan, but it is what it is on that part. Before the next pitch, head over to BetOnline on your laptop or mobile device and check out all the great sporting news, sign-up bonuses, and contest information. Don't sit on the sidelines anymore, as this is your chance to get into the game as teams prep for their runs to the playoffs. Head to the website or use your mobile device to sign up today and receive your 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. BetOnline, your online sportsbook experts. The promo code is Locked On. And I want to thank you guys for making Locked On Wizards your first listen every day. We are free and available on all platforms. So the Wizards showed up again on this list. Which one player will make the biggest impact? Which one player acquisition will make the biggest impact? Kyle Lowry with 77%, Russ with 17% for the Lakers, and then Spencer Dinwiddie got votes, and Jonas Valanciunas got votes. Last year, the player who won it was Chris Paul. So, did you feel like Spencer should have been a little bit higher, or how did you feel about the listing on that one?
I mean, when you got guys like Kyle Lowry and Russell Westbrook on the list, it's hard to put Spencer, like in that category, because I'm pretty sure these the votes are with the mindset of which teams are also going to be involved in the championship picture. The Heat are, the Lakers definitely are for sure. And when you look at the Wizards, you kind of think of, let's try to see if we can get past the first round, So Spencer can maybe help as far as getting this team past the first round, And when you look at Kyle Lowry and Russell Westbrook and guys like that, you look at it like these guys can help these teams win an NBA championship. So I definitely think, in respect to the other big free agents that went to the top teams in the league, I think Spencer was fairly placed where he was.
Yeah, that's pretty high praise for him too, because honestly, you could have said they could have put Lonzo Ball on the list. They could have put DeMar, like you were talking about the Bulls earlier. They could have put those guys on the list. But Spencer Dinwiddie's going to move. Kemba Walker went to the Knicks, and they got Spencer Dinwiddie over guys like that. So that's pretty huge praise for Spencer Dinwiddie. That's a good point with Russ and Kyle Lowry. You said those teams are more closer to a championship, which is true because they just have more guys around them. Of course, the Lakers and Miami, they just got more guys. But that's good. That's good. I like that. I like the ESPN putting some respect, or the GM's putting some respect on Spencer Dinwiddie's name. So he gets brought up again. What was the most underrated player acquisition? Number one is Larry Nance to the Portland Trailblazers. Patty Mills to Brooklyn. I like that move, Patty Mills. Dinwiddie to Washington at 14%. Lonzo Ball to Chicago at 10%. This is where Kemba shows up on the list at 7%. Receiving votes is Alex Caruso, DeMar DeRozan, Andre Drummond with Philly, Devontae Graham with the Hornets, Jeff Green to Denver. I like that move too. Dennis Schroeder to the Boston Celtics. Dennis Schroeder missed out on a bag. Ended up in Boston. And Jonas Valanciunas again. Last year was Serge Ibaka with 15%. How did you feel about those rankings?
Larry Nance to Portland. That's at number one. I would say that's interesting. But I can respect it. I think Spencer Dinwiddie getting respect is very nice to see. It is nice to see Wizards and new Wizards, being on these lists and getting the recognition. I feel like a lot of the GMs see kind of what a lot of the fans see. They see a guy who can work in the half court, fit alongside Bradley Beal, help get other guys open. The last time he was healthy with the Brooklyn Nets, he did a great job, facilitating and scoring. He's great in isolation. He can get his own bucket. He can get his other guys' buckets. He's great at getting to the basket. So I'm 100% with him being on this list. That's pretty much all I have to say on that. I agree. I agree. I can respect where they placed them.
Yeah, and then they did. I'll just put the list, and then we'll get to Montrezl Harrell's quote before we wrap up. So, what team will be most improved in 21-22? They got the Bulls at 27%, Warriors at 13%, Lakers 13% of the votes, the Hornets at 10% of the votes, Pelicans 7%, Raptors 7%, and then we got votes, Mavericks. They basically put like 20 teams in who will be the most improved in 21-22. So we did get votes for that as well. And there was Unseld Jr. He got some votes too for the newest coach acquisition to make an impact. But let's get into Montrezl Harrell, man. He had some words for the Lakers last night. I think it was Abel Wallace who asked the question last night during the press conference. And I can't remember how she worded the question, but he said that he dang near had a season off with the LA Lakers. Like they didn't play him right. They didn't give him playing time at all. How did you feel about that comment? And how do you feel? How do you feel about Montrez, man? What do you think how do you think he's gonna play out this year?
As far as his feelings about being utilized last year, I mean, it's tough finding the role, on a LeBron James led team with championship expectations. It's hard to find your way. He isn't the only guy who has played with LeBron who probably has felt like he wasn't utilized correctly or, his fit wasn't really good. And I'm sure there's a lot of Laker fans who feel like it was very reasonable why he wasn't, on the floor as much as Montrez would have liked. Maybe they felt like he was a liability, etc. But for the Wizards, I think it can be same for Kuzma. I think it could be a good fresh start for him. I think he has an opportunity here to really, prove the front office for the Lakers and players for the Lakers and their fans, etc. I think he has a chance to prove that, he isn't the liability that they may think he is. That he is a big energy guy, that he can help a team make a playoff push, that he can help a team in the playoffs, etc. I think Montrezl Harrell definitely has the opportunity to have the playing time, be utilized the way he wants to be utilized, especially when you have guards like Spencer Dinwiddie, who can throw you alley-oops, and Aaron Holiday and Raul Neto, who's also are very good guards as well, coming off the bench. So I think he has the opportunity to, prove the Lakers wrong, prove that they were wrong to let them move on.
Definitely, yeah. Montrez is a vocal guy. He's gonna be one of our vocal leaders on the team. He's gonna get the crowd hype. He's gonna have a chip on his shoulder as he always does. We haven't had a mean guy on the team. We kind of been missing that since the Death Row DC days. I don't think we had a mean guy. Marquise Morris, Nate, guys like that. Somebody who's gonna get in a fight and rough somebody up. I think we definitely need that edge and that competitiveness and that sixth man of the year, that motor. So I mean, yeah, it's tough playing with LeBron and AD, like you said. Same thing with Kuzma. Kuzma had a up and down year last year, and we're looking for these guys to come in and find a home, find a place, and improve. And I think that can definitely happen. But before we wrap up, so we do play the Knicks on Saturday. Just want to say some schedule stuff. We played the Knicks on Saturday. I was a little upset because the game wasn't being shown on NBC Sports Washington, but I had to find different ways to watch League Pass, stuff like that. But that one will be on NBC Sports Washington, and then so we'll be making a video podcast on that. But tomorrow we're gonna do a mailbag episode. So guys, please make sure you guys comment questions down below on this video or on Twitter. You can add me at EDT0OFLATT, or what's your Twitter D? Is D Talks a lot?
At D Talks a lot. At D Talks.
Yeah, at D Talks. I really at Locked On Wizards. You can message us. You can DM us, mention us, or anything like that. We'll do a mailbag episode tomorrow. If it's a lot of questions, then we'll just spill it on to the next episode. But just stay tuned. Like I said, those are the upcoming things. The Knicks game reaction and mailbag episode. Then there's another game on Tuesday. They play the Raptors, so just want to give you guys a heads up for the schedule. But this is the first episode with me and D. Man, it's gonna be a fun season, so I can't wait, man. But we're gonna wrap it up, man. Hail to the Wizards. Make sure you guys subscribe, and wherever you get a podcast, make sure you guys subscribe and hit that notification bell on YouTube. All right, you guys, peace.
Peace, guys.